Steve, we're here with Returnal. This is by Housemarque and Sony Studios. Now, this actually is on PC, and it's a bit of a running gag with me. I get to play all these Sony games on PC, and I'm loving it. Use a little bit of some extra hardware just to make it work even better. But this is Returnal. This is a game that was a smash hit on the PlayStation 5, and it is a roguelike shooter, third person, over the shoulder, so it's a little different than what we've seen before. And with the roguelike classification, that means if you die, you're right back at square one to continue on. It is brutal,
yep,
but that's kind of the way I like my video games. When it comes to how this game actually performs, is this a good port or not? I'm of the opinion that it is a really good port, but I have to specify, my hardware isn't exactly the best to show it off. I have a 1660, and although it works, it's not really setting any records here. My benchmark was quite unimpressive. And I have some 3D audio headset, but I couldn't get that to work. And again, I think that's a separate issue. That's more my computer drivers and the like. But the game still was represented pretty well. I have to say, it looks gorgeous. And I don't have ray tracing happening. I don't have high settings going, and it still looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I think if I put on my console or my computer all the way up to high settings, we might actually start a fire here. But how was your experience with kind of the hardware and the game in general?
Exactly like you. I was fortunate enough that I actually played it on PlayStation 5. And I love the game. Like you said, it is a visual, beautiful game. It's got everything there for it. So obviously I was a bit apprehensive trying it on PC, just to the fact of it's not really a gaming PC, it's what we do for like editing and stuff like that, but it's still not a bad grade. I did notice some issues. I had a little bit of lagging on, very on at the beginning, and some of the cutscenes will be a bit more jerky, because I say when they're speaking or sort of pause and then it'll kind of catch up. But overall, the gameplay itself, I had no issues with that. It was bang on. And it still looks visually good on PC. And you've got the option as well to pair up your DualSense controller if you got one. So you can get all those haptic feedbacks with your weapons.
That's something I really wish I had experienced. That PlayStation controller, that's got to be the most enticing thing for me at the current moment. PlayStation VR 2 is coming out, but that's a whole other subject on its own. I'm a very big fan of the hardware. I wish I could have used the PlayStation DualSense. Now, however, this is my long and trusted good old faithful, and that got me through. I have to comment though, the controller I found wasn't as good as mouse and keys. I'm proficient in both now, I think, but the mouse and key, I think it's required for that speed. You have to return fire on a lot of creatures constantly, so it does get a little rough if you're slowed down. I found that there's not a whole lot of agency you get. As you move on through this game, it's kind of, you take what you can get, if that makes sense. A new weapon will drop and, well, you have the option to ignore it or move on, but it's not like, you don't often come to a place where there's several weapons here. Now what do I want to do? Yeah, there is a lot of lore to pick up as you go on and kind of find these other scouts and piece together what's going on, but it has its own style to it. It doesn't really hit you with exposition, big long cutscenes just at the beginning to set it up, and I like that.
Yeah, and like you said, obviously you play Selene. I found obviously the control, found it played really well. Obviously you got your normal moving around, but you've got like your jumps and your dash, and obviously your weapons as well that you can upgrade as you find different parts to upgrade your weapon, or like you say, change your weapons, which always seems to be in its own independent room inside a chest. When you die, you go back to the beginning again, but each map is always different, and I did like that. So it's not like, oh, I've got to spend another 20 minutes going through the same kind of areas. They always seem to change it up, and obviously you have to go out, you have to find certain keys to unlock doors to open up the map, and obviously you got your scan as well to help you locate certain objects. But the monsters, I have to say, they did look good. They're very colourful. They shoot their balls of ray of destruction, which again they're not too challenging to avoid just by a jump and a dash. And I did find there's a lot of stuff like that, like a dash or a roll to the side or something. And that's really all your mechanics of the game.
Yeah, it is quite basic, but that simplicity, I think, is done really well in this style of game, because you're not progressively learning. There's not really equipment. You know, you're not picking up a jetpack and now I have to learn how to use that. It's very basic from the start, and you're pushing to see how far you can go. I do like that it re-rolls what's going on with the map. I think that's excellent, but it also, I'm fortunate enough to play it now where it has that suspend. You can suspend your play and quit, close the game down.
Yes.
I've only heard that was not a feature way back when it first launched, and so I'm very satisfied to have that ability. However, I've had a few crashes. Kind of looping back to the hardware issue, I think for some reason quitting the game causes a crash. It seems to still suspend my play, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But overall, I think the quality of this port, if you want to call it that, it is solid. It's quite there. Yeah. I wish I had the hardware to really push the technology.
Yeah.
But what I've seen, regardless, is beautiful. The audio is amazing. Again, I wish I could have experienced more, but what I've seen, the tip of the iceberg here, is very beautiful. I'm really happy with this game, and I'm always happy to jump onto the PlayStation games that cross genre here, but this was an experience. I have to say this is about a 7.5 for me. I would have liked to see a little bit more variance in enemy types, maybe some choice into how I want to spec out my character, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. Like you, I managed to play it on PS5, so I saw its full potential, and they did do a good job on porting it to PC. I believe there's 5 different options for settings, depending on what quality, if you want the ray tracing or the 4K. I like the idea, which I do believe wasn't around when it first launched, is that there is a co-op option as well, the multiplayer, and I think it's a shame we never got around to checking that out, because that would have helped me big time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they've done a good job incorporating the dual sense. I love Jane Perry's voice acting, really believable playing Selena. The game is awesome, and I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Excellent.
Discovered xenotype technology that produces other devices.